You know, some cars are just appliances. They get you from point A to point B. But every once in a while, a car comes along that's different, one that becomes a benchmark, a true legend. Today, we're going to get into the story of one of the greats, the Mercedes-Benz W124. So, picture this. It's the early 1980s. Mercedes-Benz has a massive problem. A good problem, but a problem nonetheless. Their current car, the W123, is a runaway success. I mean, people love this thing. It's a global bestseller. And now, they've got to replace it. So the question bouncing around the halls in Stuttgart was simple but huge. How on earth do you replace a legend?
Well, this was their answer. In 1984, the world met the W124. Can you just imagine the pressure? This thing couldn't just be a little bit better. No, it had to be a giant leap forward. It had to be the car that would set the standard for the entire luxury market for the next decade. No pressure, right?
So, how did they pull it off? What was the secret sauce? Well, it wasn't just about a flashy new look. It was about a deep, guiding philosophy. Let's dig into the blueprint that made this car an absolute icon from day one.
This right here was the mantra. 3 simple words: form follows function. This wasn't about adding cool-looking scoops or wings just for style. Oh no. Every single curve, every line, every engineering choice had to do something. It had a purpose. It was all substance, and the style just naturally came from that.
And that philosophy led to some seriously ambitious goals. They went all in on making it slice through the air, making it lighter, more fuel efficient. They developed an advanced multi-link rear suspension that was, frankly, revolutionary for the time. And they obsessed over safety, right down to designing a single brilliant panoramic windshield wiper that could clear almost the entire glass. I mean, who does that? That's pure engineering obsession.
And did that obsession pay off? Oh yeah. The W124 managed a drag coefficient as low as 0.28. Now, to put that into perspective for you, that's a number that's still really good today. Back in the mid-80s, it was absolutely mind-blowing. And it meant the car was quieter, sipped less fuel, and was incredibly stable at high speeds.
You know, the design was so strong they hardly changed it over its long life. But there was one big visual clue to tell them apart. Early cars, the ones before '89, had these super clean, smooth sides. But after '89, they added these wide plastic panels, what a lot of people called the Sacco planks. It became a really signature look for the later models.
Now, Mercedes didn't just launch the W124 and then, walk away. Not at all. This car was a living, breathing platform for constant innovation. For more than a decade, it was the vehicle that introduced some of the brand's coolest and most important new tech.
Just look at this rapid-fire evolution. A year after launch, boom, you could get 4MATIC all-wheel drive. By '88, ABS, a critical safety feature, was standard. In '89, they made their diesels way cleaner. And then, 1990 happened, the birth of a monster we'll get to in just a second. And they kept going. New engine tech in '92, this car just never stood still.
Okay, so let's talk about 1990. The whole W124 lineup was fantastic, but in 1990, one very special model dropped that just sent shockwaves through the car world. It became an instant legend, the kind of car people still talk about in hushed, reverent tones.
And that legend came with a price tag to match, 140,000 Deutschmarks. In 1990, that was an absolutely eye-watering amount of money. This wasn't your average W124. This was the king of the hill, a true halo car built for a very, very small number of people.
And here's why it was so special. It was called the 500e, and it was the ultimate sleeper. To the untrained eye, it just had slightly wider fenders. But underneath that conservative suit was the heart of a sports car, a massive V8. And the best part? It was hand-assembled with help from Porsche. Yeah, Mercedes would send the body shells over to Porsche, where they would shoehorn in that big V8 and all the upgraded bits before sending it back. The perfect wolf in sheep's clothing.
But the W144 wasn't just about that one high-performance hero car. The real genius of this platform was its incredible versatility. It was so well built, so robust, that it became the foundation for an entire family of different cars.
And I mean a whole family. This platform was like a Swiss Army knife. It started as the classic 4-door saloon, of course, but then came a super practical estate or wagon, then a sleek and stylish 2-door coupe. They even made a long-wheelbase 6-door limousine, and to top it all off, a gorgeous 4-seat cabriolet. 5 totally different cars, all sharing that same bulletproof DNA. And each one had these clever little touches. The saloon, you could get rear headrests that would fold down with the press of a button for better rear visibility. The Estate had a soft-closing tailgate so you didn't have to slam it shut. The Coupe was pillarless, which meant with all the windows down, it was this beautiful open space. The Cabriolet was a huge deal, the first proper 4-seat convertible Mercedes had made in 20 years, and that limo was just a wild purpose-built machine.
So as the W124's amazing run started to wind down, it had one final transformation to make. And this one was huge. It would cement its legacy and actually define the future for Mercedes-Benz.
In 1993, the W124 became the very first Mercedes to officially be called the E-Class. This was the birth of the name we all know today. It got a little facelift, and in a really symbolic move, the three-pointed star moved from inside the grille to its classic standing position on the hood. The W124 wasn't just a model number anymore, it was now the start of a dynasty.
So after all that innovation, all that quality, and all that variety, what was the result? How did it do? Well, check out this number. 2.7 million. That's how many were built. A staggering number that proves just how right they got it. And it even outsold its legendary predecessor.
At the end of the day, this quote really says it all. This wasn't just seen as a good car. At the time, the W124 was considered one of the very best cars in the entire world, period. It was the benchmark that everyone else was chasing.
And that brings us to a really interesting question to leave you with. In today's world of tight budgets and complex global manufacturing, could a car like this even be built? A car that was so fundamentally over-engineered, designed with such an obsessive focus on making it last forever, almost without regard to cost? It really makes you think, doesn't it?